Hello and welcome to an episode of the Manufacturing Leaders podcast. My name is Mark Bracknall. I'm the Managing Director of Theo James Recruitment. Today, we welcomed on Tim MacLaren, the Operations Director of Industrial Technology Solutions. I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Tim is honestly one of the most genuinely nice guys I've ever had the pleasure of interviewing on the Manufacturing Leaders podcast. And we really talked about his journey, which is interesting in itself, going from an ex-police officer to engineering to leadership. Obviously, we talk in detail about what IT has to do. We talk about AI, we talk about automation, but actually within that, it was all about leadership. It was all about being an authentic leader. It's all about looking for those opportunities in challenging situations. And it's one of those episodes where you're just going to listen and be grateful for being a leader. Sometimes in the roles we are as managers and leaders, it's difficult, it's challenging, and you just sometimes need to hear from other leaders to understand that everyone goes through these challenges, but it's important to look for that positivity within difficult times sometimes. So I won't say too much. You're going to thoroughly enjoy this episode. Thank you so much, Tim, for taking the time out. I will add that before we start the show, his little girl, bless her, is 10 years old, put a sign on the door that said podcast. So there was no interruptions during this episode. Please, please, please ever help like and subscribe the show. It massively helps promote the industry and promote the show. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoy. Speak soon. A massive warm welcome today. So today we have Tim MacLaren, the Operations Director of Industrial Technology Systems. How are we doing, Tim? You all right?
I'm very well. Yes, really delighted to be here.
Yeah, very, very happy to have you on the show. So can't wait to get into it. You've had a very interesting career, but the first question is the same question I ask everyone coming on, which is, what does it mean to you to be a leader?
I think summing it up really in one word of authenticity. And a big part of being a leader is being myself, but being someone that people can aspire towards. Giving my staff, giving my teams that guidance, a bit of inspiration, and as a leader, surrounded myself by people who are better than me, and surrounding myself by people who want to be on the journey, giving them a journey that they want to be on, and I think that's really the fundamental, is me being authentic, so that people can be on that journey with me, and together we can have success, supporting people, mentoring people, giving them a nice, a good career to have. But fundamentally, it's authenticity, and I liken it back to when I did my MBA. I did my MBA through during COVID, and after my MBA, I was invited back the following year to present at their leadership week that they had, and talked a little bit about my past, my career, and that I have had a bit of a varied career that we'll no doubt talk about at times. But a similar question came up there, and it was kind of, I had a slide that was, what do you want to be as a leader, or what is a leader? And my slide was blank, and I said, you can't really define exactly for me what the leader is. It's you make your authentic style, you make your authentic leadership, that you're going to be. And that, when I was even preparing for that one, it kind of resonated as to, no, a leader isn't just a 1, 2, 3, these are what it is. It is, everybody's different, but you can take, I've taken inspiration from leaders I've worked for, and I take the good bits and I avoid the bad bits and come up with my own path through it, and that's worked really well. And I remember one of my previous bosses, who I worked with for well over 10 years, and he took me on a really good journey as part of my career, and the mentoring that we were doing ended up being mentoring without really knowing that it was being mentoring. And when he was due to retire, he said to me, "Look, don't be a copy of him. Take the good bits that I've found from him, but carve my own path." And that's always stuck with me, and that's exactly what I've done. I've taken the best bits of the leaders who've been around me, and I'm suppose making it up as I go along, but I'm making it up with what I see from all of the good people that have been around me.
I think that's tremendous advice. And actually, of all the answers we've had, I don't think anyone's ever said that authenticity, and it's so important. It really is, because I think I struggle with that a little bit because I think when you start, whether you own it, whether you know have a team or a business or whatever it is, I think you almost feel you have to be a certain way. You know, we either get trained in a certain way or we read books and we try to become what we believe a leader should be. And I think you get inspiration from all that. But exactly what you said, you take the good bits, but you've got to be true to yourself, haven't you? Otherwise, it's just people see through that.
And I remember the first time, many years ago, I started to get involved in business meetings or meetings, even when we'll talk about my early career sort of in the police, and I was having meetings with in the police people of a higher rank than me, or I was starting to have business meetings with people from C-suite or senior management, and yeah, it suddenly dawned on me that actually, these we're all just human beings, and we're all just wanting to succeed in our own individual careers and as a team as well. And it's not when you get to a senior management position you're suddenly part of this must do this, must do that, or we're all going on a journey.
Yeah.
And it was that reality of actually we're all just wanting to achieve success here. It's not that there's an elitist side out there. It's let's collectively achieve success and collaborate, and that's a big part for me as well, is that collaboration.
Yeah, yeah, which I think actually is very good advice for because I think it's a very tricky job. Management's hard, but actually I think managing managers is very hard because you have to. I think that's when that being authentic is important because it's very difficult not to teach someone to manage in a way that you manage, and that's very challenging, isn't it? Or the way you have been managed. That's a real difficult process, but that's when that authenticity comes in strongly, isn't it?
Oh, it does. And when I first started, probably when I first started managing people, I probably was oh, hang on, I expect everyone to manage the same way that I do. And then it's like, no, that's not it's not what I want. And actually, it's will will their way. Does it work? Does it give a different perspective? And 9 times out of 10, it's like, absolutely, it's not necessarily the way I would have done something or the way I would have worded something, but actually, that's a different way of doing it. Actually, it works really well. And let people carve their own their own way of doing it, whilst kind of going along with the guidance that I'm looking for or the expectations that I'm setting. And I think as long as it's setting, what am I expecting, and how are we going to get there? The intricate detail, well, let's carve our own journey as to how we do it, and that now works really well. And I look back probably 15 plus years ago, and I think, well, the Tim from 15 years ago did things very differently to the Tim now, but you where I'm going and how I lead the teams that we've got at ITS is very different to that first part of the journey that I did. And probably if I fast forward 10 years, I don't really want to fast forward, but if we go forward for 10 years, I'll grow and develop as well over that period. But it's by what I take from the people that I'm surrounding myself with.
If you're linking with the MBA, how was it or wasn't almost a juxtaposition? Having that in mind with having a blank canvas and being to yourself versus an MBA, which is obviously very academic, and I've never done MBA, but I imagine they teach you this is the way you do things. And how did that work? Would you say?
So I was really lucky, I think, with my MBA, that I chose a university that gave more of a practical emphasis on the
Yeah.
MBA rather than a theoretical side, and that helped in my learning style and the way that I operate. But it tied in that pretty much every module that I was doing, whether it was business strategy, marketing, project management, that side, fitted in with the role that I was doing at the company I was working for at the time. And I could apply that practical level, and it was very much the real world is practical based. We're not. Yes, there's umpteen books, and you can see some of the books on the bookshelf behind me. But reading a 250-page manual on business strategy is one thing. Applying it is a very different thing. And I think what I've taken from some of the books that I've read, the real theoretical academic ones I find really difficult to read. There's some good stuff in it, and I'll pick out a few pages here and there. But some of the other books, like the anecdotals of Good to Great, that type of book, I can relate to, and I can take from it a lot. And some of it is Good to Great being one that I do really like, and talking about getting the right people on the bus at the right times. And but the journey changes for people as well. And I've had it where the journey's changed for me at times. And you pivot, you get off one bus, you got on another bus, and you then carve that next route. But the MBA, yes, I think I was really lucky. Plus, I started my MBA in 2020, and after the first 3 months of doing it, we pivoted to an online course.
I bet, yeah.
Pandemic hit, and so it changed some of the perspectives of it, but it was still very practical based, and that just suited me, and I think that set me up really well for where I am now.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people maybe if they have the opportunity to leave either business through the MBA, and some people don't do it because they probably think it's too theoretical based. It's not actually going to help them. But it did help you. Would you say it's helped you? Really?
Massively helped me. Massively helped me get just an appreciation for a whole raft of areas of the business, from the kind of intricacies of some of the financial management, the HR side, sort of going into more detail of what would happen. I mean, I was going to say light touch. It's not really a light touch. It's a fairly detailed touch on 14, 15 areas that really help you, I guess, run a business. But the practical element for me, for the one I did, if it had been really academic, I don't think I wouldn't have enjoyed it. But because it was practical, and all of the assessments, the courseworks were based on what I was doing at work, and so I could take. I was getting real world experience out of it at the same time.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Very briefly, how did you get into engineering? What was the was it always the goal? Was it you fell into? What was the route?
Well, was it always the goal? I suppose when I was 18, which is now longer ago than I thought it was. I did did my GCSEs. I was living down on the south coast at the time. Did my GCSEs, did my A levels. Wanted to go off to university to do computer science, and went to university. But I dropped out after the first 2.5 months because I just wasn't ready. It wasn't for me. I don't know what it was, but it was just I don't want to be here. I don't want to be at university, and ended up going and working for John Lewis for a year or so in the audio and TV department in Southampton. Still had a real interest in computing. I'd worked at a sort of high street computer shop at the time, and it was nothing to do with kind of business computing, but I was building PCs at the time when you could still properly build them, and weren't tied into sort of pre-made computers. But when I was at John Lewis, one of the guys that I met there, his dad was an inspector in the police, and that then put me on a path of, let's try going into the police. So I went into Hampshire Police at the time as a operational PC, did a couple of years there, and then for one reason or another, the rest of my family, my mum, dad, my sisters, they all moved up to Scotland. So it was a bit of a move, 650-ish miles from
Can't
the
get much further, can you?
Yeah. No, up to Aberdeen. Can't get much further. You can get much warmer, and having now moved to Teesside, the extra sort of 4 or 5 degrees certainly makes a difference. But yeah, I moved up to Aberdeen, joined the police up there, and did another 9-10 years. It was about 12 years in total in the police, various roles there, from the control room to police motorcyclist. I got to be a police motorcyclist during the Olympic torch relay and that type of stuff. And just what a world of experiences I got in the time there. And I think that really helped me on my leadership journey as well, through all of the work that I was doing there. But in 2013, I think it was, I got approached by principal engineer who worked at a local systems integrator in Aberdeen, who I put my CV out online, wasn't actively looking for anything, but said, do you want to come and join us? He liked the look of some of my background, what I'd done. I had no idea at that point what sort of industrial IT, systems integration, that sort of things was. but my youngest daughter was 3 months old at the time. It was a good time in the sense of I wanted to get away from working shifts. I wanted to be able to spend a bit more time with the family and look at what a long-term career kind of might be. So moved into systems integration there, where I was working. It was digital operations, real-time data, sort of engineering on the sort of IT side, and very quickly then moved into managing and overseeing support services. The support services were for everything from the digital operations, but through to control safety systems in oil and gas. And then I branched out a bit into the support services within nuclear, within water, within other energy side of things. And that started to spark an interest in the wider engineering sense. And then I started running the Aberdeen and the Glasgow office for the company that I was working for at the time. And that then exposed me more into the business management of the systems integration there, and really got quite a good level of knowledge within that business. Then in 2023, I pivoted slightly and went and worked for a global IT managed services company. Mm-hmm. And then last year came and joined the ITS team to take on the role operations director and moving forward in the engineering side that we're doing here. And this has really sparked an interest that what ITS does is similar to what I've done in the past within energy, within nuclear and that side, but it's also now within life sciences, medical devices, pharmaceutical, and that's a new world to me, but a very, very interesting world. So I think to answer your question, has sort of engineering always been there? I think yes, engineering of one sense or another has always been there. More initially on the IT side of what engineering would bring. And if I knew what I know now and could shape my path slightly differently, knowing that systems integration exists and all that sort of things, maybe I would have shaped my path slightly differently back when I was a young 18-year-old. But I probably wouldn't be where I am today if I had. My nephews who are in their 20s are kind of trying to identify where they want to be in their careers, and they look at me and think, well, it's okay, you don't have to get it right first time. There are other options. And I think that's what I say to them is, if you can find a career that suits you right from the start, brilliant. Yeah. But also, don't worry if you don't get it right, because everything's transferable as well. And I look back and I think all of the skills I got in the police and the previous careers as well, they've been hugely transferable. They might not just be black and white on paper that you can see how transferable they are, but everything is experience and everything makes you into that authentic person that you are today.
100%. I'm so pleased you said that, because when you were talking about your career, it's exactly what I was thinking, that in terms of, it's never, I'm not saying you're at the last stage of your career, but it's never too late in your career to make a change, because everything you're doing now is transferable. And a place is a really good example, isn't it, where the different situations you've had to deal with on a daily basis that you probably wouldn't realize how useful they are in everyday life, and every different industry you can think of it can be. I was actually thinking this the other day. I was driving in, and it makes me sad, the amount of people who hate the job and live for Friday, and then they repeat it again, and it does. It's difficult, and I just think it's not. I appreciate not everyone has the same opportunities. That is the case in this world. However, I just wish more people would go, I'm just going to take a bit of a risk and change and go to something completely different, because just because you've gone down that path doesn't mean you can't go down a completely different one. You're absolute testament to that. It's 100%.
I was just going to say, and I look back and I said this to my wife recently. I said, where did it seem sensible back in 2013 to leave effectively what's quite a secure job within the police, took quite a substantial pay cut to start again. We had a 3-month-old. My wife was on maternity leave. It's like, where did that seem sensible?
Yeah.
But at no point do I remember us talking about it thinking, oh, this is a bit of a gamble. It was just, this is right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so there is that. What I would say to people is, sometimes just go for it.
Yeah, you can't time the big decisions, things that happen to you. You can't time. There's never a perfect time. If you wait for the perfect time, it simply won't come around. So I started this business the 2 weeks after my firstborn was born. We had a brand new house. The wife maternity leave. We had no money coming in at all, and it was the worst timing. If I'd planned it, I would never have planned it. But it was an opportunity I couldn't let up. So it is. It's sometimes you just got to back yourself and think, what's the worst case scenario? I get another job if this one doesn't work out. That's the reality. 100%. What's the difference? You're in the Northeast now. You're in Teesside, and Teesside is a great place with a very deep community. Have you felt the difference of working in the Northeast versus somewhere else? What are the key differences you've noticed?
Oh, it's unbelievable the difference, and I would say both working and living in the Northeast is a very different, positive experience. We thought we were quite well settled in Aberdeenshire for what had I been there 22 years. I think my wife had been there about 30 years. If I start off personally coming down here, from the moment I was looking to relocate, the friendliness of the people and just the openness is just brilliant. And I'm not saying that people in Aberdeen aren't friendly. Of course they are. It's just different, and it's just I can't really describe it other than we've settled in so quickly that people feel just brilliant to be around. And then from a business side, the Northeast is and has gone through a lot of challenges over the last probably 20, 30 years. And there are still plenty of challenges here. But the business community seems to champion each other, and they seem to want to be there to help each other. And now, whether I just didn't see this in Aberdeen, that's possible, but I just didn't feel that was there in Aberdeen with the different companies that you're working with. It felt there's a lot of individual companies rather than people trying to champion for each other. And since I've been here, I've kind of immersed myself into things like the Tees Valley Business Club, and the community that comes around through that is fantastic. And I'd say I've made friends through that in such a short time. I've had really good exposure to some of the other businesses that are here. We've had business opportunities between different companies, and that's in 9 months that I've been here. And it's like, well, let's see what the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years bring. But it just feels already that I could pick up the phone to some of the other companies that I've worked with. And I'd say even some people who've been on the podcast with you that I've met once or twice, I feel comfortable that I could pick up the phone to them and they'd want to help if I had a question or something, even though I don't really know them particularly well. I wouldn't.
It's a community feel, isn't it?
Yes, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, and I don't know why, but it's different.
I agree. I'm Yorkshire born and bred, but even I can tell the difference. I've been up here for 22 years, and there is a key difference, 100%. Apologies for interrupting this episode with a very quick announcement about my business. Theo James are a specialist talent provider specifically to the manufacturing and engineering sector. I'm incredibly proud of what we've achieved since our inception in 2015. We specialise in roles from semi-skilled trades right the way up to our TJ exec search arm of the business, both on the contract and permanent side. We offer both bespoke one-off campaigns for hard-to-fill roles or a full partnership service where we become an extension of your business. For any information, please get in touch with me or the team. I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Thank you. I'd like to, to talk a bit about ITS and actually what you do as a business, but actually what I'm always a big fan of on episodes like this, where, you work for a business which goes in and helps businesses in this region out and in this industry out, just to learn about that. And maybe something that people can learn this episode. So if someone was to ask you to say, look, what in layman terms does ITS do? What could it do for my engineering business, for example? And, if you were to work with a company for 90 days, what would that look like, do you think?
Oh, that's an interesting one. So what could we do? I suppose in layman's terms, and I tried to describe to my mum and dad recently what it is that
that's always the best.
I find the systems integration is quite easy but difficult at the same time to describe what we do.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's a bit like, well, what can we do? Well, for us, we work across many sectors, and I think that's a positive for ITS in that we've not got all of our eggs in one basket, and we also can bring a broad range of experience from one sector to another. So it's predominantly highly regulated sectors that we're working. So from pharmaceuticals, nuclear, energy, various different, and they have different levels of regulation within them. But what do we do? Well, we take lots of different, say, types of machines, make them work together for whatever the solution is that the customer needs. That we automate solutions. So it's sometimes looking at process efficiency. So is there something that just takes an awful long time that actually, if we could find a way to automate it, that could save you a month, 2 months, 3 months, and get your production line up and running quicker? Well, potentially that could not only save you time, but it could get you up and running and generating revenue quicker. And we use various different systems. We're kind of vendor agnostic, so we're not tied to any particular vendor. We've got partnerships with quite an enviable number of OEMs and suppliers, but we provide the right solution for the right project, and don't tie it in. And we've got quite a variety of expertise as well, in that we can provide where it's unique for ITS that I think I haven't seen before is, if I take the life sciences pharmaceutical sector, we can provide everything from the project engineering resources and delivery of that project through to also validating and testing that system. We have all of those skills in house. So what could we do for some of the customers? Well, we're kind of a I don't necessarily like the term, but a one-stop shop, in that you can come to us for everything without thinking, I need to go to supplier 1 for this part, supplier 2 for this part, supplier 3 for this part. We can provide the whole end-to-end project, and then go into our support services as well. And support is a big part of my background that I had at a previous company, and coming to ITS, we've got probably in excess of about 60 to 65 customers that we're providing up to 24/7 support for, and the expertise that the teams have got are just fantastic. And I think the relationship we've got with some of our customers, we've worked with a number of them for more than 30 years, and they keep coming back. We keep providing a good service, and I think the testament to the quality engineering we do is the fact that we've got these long-standing arrangements.
What do you think the biggest challenges that a lot of your customers are having right now? Is there a common theme that you're seeing, would you say?
I think one of the things that we're seeing, particularly within manufacturing, is getting that route to production quicker.
Okay. Yes.
And obsolescence as well. There's a lot of good production lines out there.
Yeah.
But they're aging.
Yeah.
And it's it's trying to find that optimum way to afford the downtime to upgrade whilst maintaining the uptime. And so I think planning for the certainty that things need to be upgraded, and the benefits that come with that upgrade, that can be additional revenues that are getting generated, whilst allowing for the downtime needed for an upgrade, and picking the right time. And I think what we're seeing with a number of customers is sometimes downtimes are having to shift to the right because they need to keep the production line going.
Yeah.
So therefore, is it a putting off the upgrade until the point of actually the upgrade is essential, but you don't want to put it off too long until something breaks.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's one of the big challenges. Yeah, I think it's making sure that obsolescence is well managed and dealt with to give that optimization.
Is there a misconception that to automate a factory now costs hundreds of thousands of pounds? Is that a misconception, you think, where actually it doesn't necessarily need to?
I think so. No, I think quite often it will surprises our customers how cost effective an upgrade can be, or an automation solution can be. versus with the gains that can be made from it. There is, of course, there's an outlay, but I think the gains that can come from it can be significant. And with that as well, we've been asked by a number of customers. The hot topic of the time, of course, is AI, and it's how can AI help speed up some of the automation or I had a long conversation last week at an event with the Bank of England, and AI was a hot topic there of, are we seeing it effectively replace jobs? And I don't think we're seeing it replace jobs. I think what we're doing is we're seeing it enhance current jobs, maybe enable more to be delivered with the current headcount, and it's enabling everyone to be more efficient. But is it regulatory compliant? Is it what's the governance behind it? And I think there's a couple of things with it that we're seeing. Is one, legislation maybe isn't keeping up as quickly as the AI is being developed. And what do we actually mean when we're talking about we want to use AI for this? And there's so many different ways of looking at it. And then, of course, do you have your own agents internal that aren't connected to the internet? What does that mean? How does that enable improvements? How do you use AI to really then spearhead forward some software engineering solutions? And is it good for proof of concept? And then you have a development team that take that proof of concept forward, or is it good to even help you further on it? And I think you would normally say something like this: let's see how we are in 5 years' time. But I think really with the AI, the speed AI is developing, let's look at the next 6 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting because I think people tend to bolt on AI and automation as though they're the same thing, don't they? This sort of conversation, and they are obviously very different. The only caveat that would be is I think people probably, and you'll know more than me, but my thoughts are that, and I'll put myself in this bracket, that people try to automate or use AI because they feel they have to, but probably don't understand what the problem is they're trying to fix sometimes.
Yes.
Do you find that when you're talking to people feel the need to, but actually don't understand what they're trying to do in the first place?
I've had many conversations with engineers, with senior leaders that we have to use AI. So why?
Yeah.
And it's what are you trying to achieve? And sometimes it's as simple as, I don't know, but everyone's using it, so we should be using it.
Don't left behind. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think getting the use case right is so critical. But there's so many different use cases depending on the type of AI system that wants to be used. And we've got some we're starting to use at the moment that is sort of inspection cameras that historically you'd program significantly in the background for the parameters that they're looking for. Now they're coming with AI built in, and they learn for themselves what they're seeing. And it's, well, how do you then test something that learns for itself and make sure that it meets all regulation compliance? And that's then opening, well, it's the right way to go, but how do we ensure it is compliant?
Are you worried or excited by it? Because I guess I've stopped listening to a lot of podcasts where they scaremonger on this type of stuff, because I just think it's just feel like it's sensationalized. So where are you on the scared versus excited of what AI might do for the industries we work in, would you say?
I'm hugely excited by it.
Yeah.
I see, and this came up last week, actually. We're on the cusp of, you kind of make a choice at the moment. You either embrace it or you're maybe left behind. But I think the embracing it is embracing it in the way that will make the right difference to your business. And I don't think yet we know exactly what does it mean to embrace it, because it's evolving so quickly. But I think the excitement for me is, well, let's try and embrace it and see what that evolves to be. And I look at, if I think about my kids for a second, the jobs that they might do in 10, 15, 20 years time maybe don't even exist now. And I look at my oldest daughter, who's 13, just doing a few exams and stuff at the moment through school. First thing she's doing is downloading a AI chatbot to help her with the exams. As well, is that the right way to go? Is it not? Is it? But it's out there. It's right in front of them. Is it the way of helping? I don't know, but she's embracing it and is doing well. I look at some of the things that our engineers are looking at, and we have potential where we're trialing the use of AI to help us with authoring certain technical documents to see what it would produce. Then we're spending the engineering time from our engineers reviewing those documents. But what happens in 5 years' time, 10 years' time? Right now, we've got people who are experienced, having written these documents themselves before, and so they're suitably experienced to be able to review what is output to say whether it's valid or not. But in 10 years' time, if you've got engineers who have only ever used sort of automated documents that have improved, how are they able to review them with the suitable experience? But is it going to be a problem in 10 years' time? Because actually, it'd
be good enough that you feel you probably trust it.
Yeah, and I think that's the journey that we're all going on. Is you can't foresee, probably can't even foresee how it will be used in 5 years' time, because it's evolving so quickly. I think let's embrace it and see where we go with it.
Yeah, I agree, and it will replace certain jobs, but it will mean that like you just said there, the different jobs are available. It will just change
hugely. That's it. I think you're absolutely right. I think certain jobs will change. New jobs will be created.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be a massive amount of new jobs that are created because of it.
Yeah, 100%. I live in Sunderland, and they're one of the first cities to trial the Just Eat robots flying around and takeaways. And we saw some of them, and my wife was like, "Oh, it's so sad, isn't it? Because you just all these people, delivery drivers." And I said, "Well, yeah, it is, but actually, you've also then got engineers that are going to maintain, fix, and it's just creating different jobs. And yes, it is sad for those people in the industry. And it gets back to what we said right at the start that that's when people have got to be agile to utilize their skills in different industries because the world is going to change."
And you look at Darlington. You've got Amazon warehouse in Darlington that's just trialed the drone deliveries. Yes, that might replace or change the way deliveries are done. It won't do away with road deliveries, but you're opening up sort of drone operators, programmers for the drones, everything that goes around the engineering side of making these amazing drones available to deliver your parcels. So it just opens up opportunity.
How do you think AI will change leadership? Because suddenly you've got you almost you don't make as many decisions in a way. It's and I'm still in the middle of this. We do appraisals every month, and we're now starting to bring a lot of AI into that. And some of it sits well with me. Some of it thinks I'm a de-skiller myself. It's a challenge.
Yes, I honestly don't know.
No, now do I. By the way,
the bit that I think I think it will enable us through more data-driven data availability. I think it'll let us see the data quicker of what's going on within a business. It'll help us make decisions. Will it influence us? I think it will. I think it will hopefully empower us better to make decisions quicker. Because something that maybe would take 2, 3, 4 days to generate as a report, business case, something you might actually be able to do in a couple of hours. Does it actually let us speed up and therefore grow the business quicker? Potentially. I have used various AI tools to help me set sort of appraisal objectives for my team, more to give me a starting point and then finesse it myself. And that's actually been a really useful tool and has meant I can develop my team quicker and better. So I think from that side, it works. It's working really well. What does it mean for traditional leadership of businesses now versus 5 years' time, 10 years' time? I honestly don't know.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? And I agree completely. I think what's important is exactly what you just said there. We use it to create time so we can do higher end tasks. We use it because actually I think managing with data is a very good way to manage, because you can take the emotion out of it and make better decisions. However, I will get back to what we said right at the start, that you still need to use this to still have your authentic approach to it. Otherwise,
totally,
we don't need managers. We can just go by the data. You still need to have that authentic leadership.
And you look at you look at take sort of AI meeting notes that happen and transcripts and things. How many times does it make a typo or something and it's, oh, you said that. No, no, I didn't. Or that's not what I meant. Or so yeah, that side of things I think is useful, but has still got a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple of closing questions, don't mind. What would you say has been your within leadership and you've grown as a leader? What do you think is one of the biggest lessons you've learned in your career so far? Would you say? I guess it's the old, if you were to give yourself advice now, what would it be?
Be open within the realms that you can. Be open, transparent with your team, because without your team, you can't be successful, and you need them to help you be successful. So being open and transparent, and I take you back to take them on the journey with you, and trust them.
Yeah, great advice. And what's obviously you've spoken about ITS and how everything's going on there. What's exciting you? What's going on the next sort of 9 to 12 months in the business?
Lots. We've got some really big projects coming up. We're on quite a growth journey at the moment, which is really great to be. We're a new leadership team that we've got. I think we're taking the staff on the journey. In fact, even today we had a town hall with the staff telling them about all the exciting stuff that's coming up.
Nice.
I think it's really for ITS. It's an organic and an acquisitive growth journey that we're on that is really looking quite good for the next few years, and it's ambitious. But we're doing bigger projects than we've done before. We're working with existing and new customers. We've got a really good bunch of engineers that work for us. And I think just the whole next 9-12 months plus it's just an exciting journey for us to be on.
Yeah.
And it's almost it almost feels like we've got a bit of a startup mentality of we want to go for it, we want to grow, we want to get there, but we're a 35-year-old established company.
Yeah.
So that the energy that we've got within the business is just fantastic.
And I think once you've got that, when you're going through growth spurs and you are hiring, people see that, feel that culture and want to be part of it. Some people, and you'll inevitably find some people who aren't. You find that out quite early, don't you? And that's okay. When you're going through a change of business, that's fine. Some people don't want to be part of change. But ultimately, when you bring new people in the business and they're on board with that, it's an exciting time, isn't it, to do so? Particularly in a market which is a bit sticky right now. So people want the companies who have that foresight.
And you made a comment earlier on where you said you people who come to work on a Monday and they just their goal is to get to Friday.
Yeah.
Every day I come to work and it's just a great bunch of people that we're working with. It's you can't predict what's going to happen that day. It's like anything. You have your to-do list and you start your to-do list in the evening. But it's such an interesting and exciting time, and being part of sectors I've been part of, also some new sectors as well, brings a new dynamic to it. But it just every day I go to work and it's exciting. And it doesn't feel like we're going to work. It feels like we're going on a really interesting journey to grow what we've got as a fantastic business and see where we go with it. And to have the opportunity to be part of that and bring the guys that work for me along on that is just awesome.
Amazing. Look, thank you for this. This has been a real pleasure. And actually, what's been nice is speaking to someone who's so optimistic and positive, and I don't mean that lightly, because not everyone is like that, and I think people go for the emotions. But you are someone who clearly sees the opportunities in situations, which is a real. You talk about leadership; it's a real gift, and I've really enjoyed. What your business does and what you do is obviously very technical. It's a lot of it is black and white. It's it's data led, but actually, I really enjoy the fact you've tied that all nicely into having a vision and being authentic and being an authentic leader and that, because like I said right at the start, a lot of people listening who are leaders who feel they have to be a certain way, they feel they have to be like their manager has been, they were managed, and what the book says. And like exactly what you just said, Tim, you take all these little things from all the influence you've got, but it's got to sit right with you as a leader.
Yes,
It's got to feel
100%.
comfortable, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think Teesside itself as well is now home, and it's so quickly felt like home that to get a chance to grow a business within Teesside is just fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an amazing place. It always has been, but particularly the last 5 years, it's just felt like a real movement towards business and development, and that community led, which is it's rare. So excellent. Well, thank you, Tim. Really appreciate that. What's the best way for people to try and contact if need be? I mean, I'll put your details on there, but LinkedIn, email?
LinkedIn's probably the best way to get hold of me. Yeah.
Excellent.
More than happy. Anyone wants to have a chat, grab a coffee, or always like to have a conversation. So I'd welcome it if anyone wants to get in touch.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for listening or watching this episode of the Manufacturing Leaders Podcast. Please just like or subscribe. It really helps grow the show and obviously improve the industry. If you want any more information about Theo James, as I mentioned midway through the episode, please get in touch with me or the team. I would love to talk about how it can help you directly or your business. We are more than just a recruiter, and I know people say that, but it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. We are in business for much more than just a bums on seats approach. We want to help people grow. We want to help improve their lives. And ultimately, I want to work with businesses and people who share the same values as we do. And that's something I'm incredibly passionate about. So please, if that is you and you are passionate about that dream role or passionate about your people, please get in touch with me or the team. I would absolutely love to talk a bit more detail. Thank you very much. Speak soon.